This will be my last part talking about Outlander Season 7, Episode 5, and reviewing the episode, so if you are looking to avoid spoilers from the show or the books, please do keep on scrolling. So the last video ended talking about how Jemmy and Mandy are still seeing this mysterious figure outside of Lallybroch, and Bree and Roger are getting slightly nervous about this now that the kids are so insistent that there's someone lurking around the property. And again, we see Roger race outside, and the camera angle that they chose to shoot the scene at from across the driveway looking up at the house implies that there's somebody out there. Book readers know it is Buck Mackenzie. As a refresher, Buck Mackenzie is the distant relative of Roger's that had him hanged in Season 5. So obviously when these two meet each other again, they are not going to be happy to see one another. Buck is creeping around outside because he went too far into the future as he traveled through the stones. He doesn't know where he is, what he's doing there, and we will see in the next episode, just based on the recap, that these two end up helping each other in more ways than one in upcoming episodes. Back at Ticonderoga, we see Jamie's premonition and insight into war come to fruition, and the British are ready to attack Fort Ticonderoga. He again tries to say that he needs to protect the higher ground and the fort is going to come under attack, but is met with a lot more incompetence from the higher ups. And so they very smartly choose to evacuate the members of the fort as quickly as they can because he knows that they can escape right now by water. Jamie and Claire help to lead these emergency evacuation boats, and we can see the two of them on this boat with Rachel. It's implied Denny is coming too. There's a lot going on in the books that I'm very curious how they'll kind of truncate it, so I won't go into too much detail, but at this point in the books when this is happening, William is at Ticonderoga, and I can almost say with certainty that he is not in the show. And lastly, we see Bree trying to kind of assert her dominance with all of the men. She meets them at the pub that they tell her that they go to after work all the time, and we see the shady Rob Cameron once again. I'm definitely going to do a whole separate video about him. This actor is a great actor. You might recognize him from Bridgerton, but he is very important. And the more these two start to interact with each other, the more that storyline is going to develop. But we see her try to assert her dominance. I don't think Sophie delivered quite as strong of a performance as I would have preferred in this scene particularly, but it's an important scene to have in this episode. And we see that she is feeling incredibly defeated and lonely at the end of this episode when she goes into the graveyard that she told Jemmy and Mandy to stay out of to talk to her dad, like Jemmy said that him and Mandy have been. And while this wasn't my favorite ending to an episode, I can understand why they're trying to kind of slow this episode down before we get a very action-filled episode 6.